Hey, Mamadou, how are you doing? Okay, John, I think we just go for it.
Okay, cool. I will get started then. I'll just share my screen. You can all see this one, yes?
Looks good.
Okay, so yes, this is today's talk, which as you can see is all about SEO, search engine optimization. And we will be looking at SEO plugins and SEO tips, which is helpful for all of us. Oh, sorry, went too fast. So yeah, 6 p.m. start. We've started already. Just run through what we're going to do today. We'll just start off with a couple of quick welcomes and introductions. We'll take a quick look at what is new with Elementor. 2 new things to look at there. Then we'll get in today's topic, which is hosted by Will today. And then once he's done his talk, we'll have a quick Q&A at the end and aiming for a 7 p.m. finish. So we're just going to introduce each one of us and we'll start in the order you can see here. Will?
Hey everyone, my name is Will Brown. I am a WordPress consultant, so that's my main job. I basically integrate WordPress with other systems. So I use a lot of Zapier, Integromat, Uncanny Automator, things like that, just to connect WordPress to other systems. So I'm mostly one of the co-presenters here for the Sydney Elementor meetup, but also co-host the WordPress Sydney meetup as well. And I'm vice president of the Linux Australia Council as well. So moving on.
I'll go next. I am John and I am a graphic designer and I do a lot of website building. I use Elementor a lot as page builders make it easy for people who don't know a lot about coding. And even though I would, consider myself very good at building the websites, something like SEO is something that I never know enough about. So I'm really looking forward to today's chat, basically. Julia, over to you.
Yes, same here. Looking forward to this presentation. My name is Julia. I'm a web designer. I work for a software company there where we don't absolutely use WordPress or Elementor, but I also have my own small business on the side. We do digital marketing, therefore websites, graphic design, social media management, and so on. And definitely using WordPress and Elementor there. I've been using it for quite a while now, for a few years, and loving it. So welcome, everyone.
And hi, I'm Morris. I'm actually a finance and business intelligence person, have a full-time role there and do websites as a lifelong hobby. And yes, found Elementor a couple of years ago and trying to learn as much about it as we possibly can. And that's me.
Cool, thanks for that, guys. Okay, so next, I'm going far too fast here. Code of conduct. So we have a code of conduct for all of our online meetups here. And rather than running through the whole thing, we'll have a link here, which one of the guys will share in the chat window, because as you can see there, TLDR, which I found out today, stands for too long, didn't read, because it's a long list of everything that is in our code of conduct, but I didn't read the whole thing. But as you can see there, there is one main rule there, and that's just be respectful. Be respectful for everyone else in this group chat. If you want to see the full thing, the link should be pasted there.
Twice.
Oh, I can't even use this. Here we go. There we go. Okay, so now back over to you guys. Introduce yourselves and your beverage. So each one of you, you can just take it in turns. As you can see here, if you want to just give us a very quick introduction about who you are and why you're here, then you click on reactions at the bottom and click raise hand. And just do a quick little introduction like we just did then. And also tell us about your beverage. We want to know exactly what you're all drinking. I love herbal tea because I'm an old man and I'm drinking some chamomile tea right now. But yes, I'll just stop sharing and back over to you guys. Would any of you guys like to quickly share a little bit about yourself? You can physically put your hand up as well. Yeah, Lawrence, over to you.
Before I go back to the dishes, I work for a hosting company, a WordPress hosting company. I've been for a while. do a little bit of stuff on the side as well, a little bit of Elementor stuff on the side as well. And I also used to host the Melbourne meetup. So that was pre-pandemic and before I got in trouble with Elementor for mentioning a competing page builder in a public chat and getting on a Zoom meeting with the community manager. And after that, they said, no, it shouldn't be like that. But I still love Elementor, my favorite tool, and still love the community.
So thanks for that, Lawrence. Anyone else like to do a quick introduction? Yes, Coral, you need to unmute as well. Yeah, thanks.
Hi, my name's Coral. I'm actually from Israel, and I'm a UI UX designer. I usually worked in gaming and things like that. Recently, I decided to become a freelancer. Been using Elementor over the years, and now I'm trying to go full on and learn as much as I can about different things, as well as SEO and making better websites.
Very cool. Yes. Well, definitely the best way to do it with this sort of thing. So, yes. Thanks very much for that. Murray, Matthias, Mamadou, either of you want to introduce yourself? Someone? Oh yeah, Matthias. Sorry if I've mispronounced that correctly.
No, that's fine. It's got a variation of pronunciations, but Matthias is also okay. I'm based in Johannesburg. I'm a graphic designer, web designer, and I run a sole agency doing websites, mainly using WordPress and Elementor. So I'm always fascinated to learn, like as much as I can on new things. So I'm looking forward to, get tips when it comes to SEO stuff as well. Thank you very much.
Very cool. Yes, well, you'll learn a lot today. Okay, thanks so much for that. All right, well, we'll just switch back to my screen quickly. So yeah, I'm just going to very quickly just run through the Elementor updates, which is what we do every month, and two very cool updates this month. The first one is, you can see the Elementor Cloud website. Elementor have started offering their own hosting services. And if you've ever used them previously, they will always send you to places like SiteGround and Bluehost. But now they run their own one, and it's all run from Google Cloud. And you get a free custom domain, and based on the price that you can see there, $99 for a year, which is pretty incredible and a lot cheaper than what I'd pay elsewhere. So I'm definitely going to check this one out, and we'll put the link in for this one in the chat as well. And then one more thing that they brought in now, which is great if you don't have too much experience with building websites, is wireframe kits. As you see there, they also have the full site kits where you can take a pre-built template and just build your website from that. But if you don't want it looking exactly the same as everyone else's website, you kind of want to start, from scratch, but it's very, very difficult to start with a blank page. But these wireframe kits will basically help you build the structure before you start dropping everything in. So definitely worth checking out if you don't have too much experience, but you want to be a little bit more creative than everyone else. So again, we'll share the link for that one in the chat. And also, yes, join our Elementor Sydney Facebook group. As you can see there, if you need to chat with any of us on there, you can chat through that. I've gone too fast. So yes, that's me done. So back over to Will, who will talk us through everything today about SEO plugins and SEO tips.
Thanks, John. Fantastic intro. Let me just share my screen. Okay, there we go. Before I start, I am or was drinking decaf tea, but it's all gone now. And that's my horrible cup because I drink so much tea that it's just stained the complete the mug. Okay, SEO. So tonight we're going to talk about SEO plugins, specifically how they integrate with Elementor. In fact, I'm going to just show you because that's a lot easier. And some SEO tips as well. Now, I run quite a few different courses on SEO, and I've got an SEO for beginners course that I run. So I've taken some of the elements of that and just kind of rounded them off as to a very basic overview of SEO. So that's what I'm going to run through tonight. So let's go on to the first slide. So one of the questions I get asked an awful lot is, why doesn't my website rank well in Google? Now, it can kind of feel a bit personal, right? You've spent all this effort and energy, creating content and, trying to find backlinks and all that sort of stuff. And yet your website doesn't rank really well. So please don't take it personally. It's not you. It's not a vendetta against you. It's not that Google hates your website or anything. And you certainly don't want to pick a fight with an AI algorithm, especially one at Google. Now, you may feel that you've put all this work and it's all for nothing, but it's not really. It's not really. The most likely scenario is that you're just not really creating the right content. So there's a lot of people who create like blog posts, or they'll do podcasting, but maybe it's just not the right fit for that particular market for that. Or maybe you're missing some of the core SEO pillars as well that I'm going to chat about a little bit later on today. Okay, but first, let's get an understanding of how these search engines work. Now, how do they get all that information and what do they do with it? Okay, now, the first thing is that a search crawler, they're also known as a search bot or simply just crawlers. These are automated scripts and they're owned by Google and the other search engines. And they basically look through websites, they trawl through websites, analyzing all the content and all the navigation that they find, following all the links that they can find on the page. And then they report this information directly back to Google, and Google feed this into their secret squirrel algorithm. Now, we don't really know exactly what's in that algorithm. It's very, very top secret. A lot of people can guess at roughly what sort of things might be in there, but as to exactly what it is, that is completely secret. And the reason it's secret is they don't want a repeat of the 2000s when people were, keyword stuffing stuff into pages to try and get to the top. So they do measure lots of different factors, but they want to keep it nice and secret so people are not, gaming the search engine, as you would say. The next thing, so the end result of all this data that's coming back, the end result is a big ranking index of every single web page that Google can find on the interwebs. And this is what's used to determine what results are displayed when you come and search for keywords in Google. And the keywords that come back, the research that comes back, is usually called the search engine results page, or SERPs for short. Now, going back to the Google algorithm, as I say, we don't really know exactly what's in there, but there's some really, really clever people that can kind of guess what sort of metrics are probably in there. And every so often, Google will hold conferences online and little tidbits out, not exactly what's in the algorithm, but little tidbits out. And by measuring all this stuff, all this information together, some very wise people wiser than me, have come up with this list of things that they reckon are probably pretty top up in the Google search engine algorithm. So these are in no particular order, by the way. So it doesn't mean that the first one is gives you more SEO juice than others. It's just these are the things that people think this algorithm mainly looks at. So the first one is website content quality and length as well. So there's some people that think that if you just do a little snippet, that it's too short. And there's other people that think if you go and whittle on for 5,000 words, then that's too long. There's not really an agreed length. So if you go to some of these plugin website authors that I'm going to be talking about later, so for example, Yoast SEO is one of the top ones. If you go to his page, he'll have a number, maybe 2,000 or 3,000, that he thinks that is the ideal number. And again, if you go into one of the other ones like RankMath or SEOPress or any other SEO blog, they will have their own number that ranks round about 2,000 to 3,000. But nobody really knows exactly how long Google is looking for ideally. But we can definitely say that, if you've got like 1 or 2 paragraphs, that's probably too short. And if you've got like 10,000 words, that's probably too long. But certainly quality is better than quantity here. So the rule of thumb when you're writing any content for the web is not to write for a search engine. Don't stuff it full of keywords. Write as if you were writing to another person. Write as if you were explaining something in plain English to somebody who was standing right there in front of you. Just write naturally, and the algorithm is keyed up towards looking for more natural text that flows a lot better than just like stuff, the paragraphs that you've copied in there to try and get at your keywords. All right, the next one is Core Web Vitals. Now, Core Web Vitals is kind of a new set of metrics that Google have brought out in the last few months. And they look at things like loading speeds and usability of the website as well. So things like, what's your biggest asset that you're loading in? Are you loading in a 5,000 by 5,000 image? That particular metric will go down. Does your page load in 1 second? Your metric will go up for things like that. So there's lots of different metrics. And I've run a few talks on the Google Core Web Vitals, so you can have a look back at some of those. I might post some links in the meetup page afterwards for those. So I'm not going to go into the Core Web Vitals, but it's something you should look at, definitely, and run your website through those, just so you've got an idea as to how Google is ranking those particular metrics for your website, because people think it is pretty important overall. Of course, page load speed, just on its own, you need your website to be fast. Google have come out and said, look, you've got a really slow website, then that is going to be detrimental to your SEO. So you want to make sure that your pages are loading up nice and quickly. So you could do things like make sure your images are nice and small, compress them, or use a new format called WebP as well, which further compresses images. You can, WordPress by default lazy loads images in, so you don't need to worry about that. But maybe using something like a cache plugin to boost your cache, or even using a CDN, a content delivery network like Cloudflare, can really, really help increase the speed of your page. User experience. Now, user experience is part of the Core Web Vitals, but it's also, people reckon it's a metric on its own. And what we're talking about here is the ability for people to navigate through your website and to find your content really quickly. So Google is always measuring stuff. It can measure what the most popular pages are. If you go in something like Google Analytics, you'll be able to see they have walkthroughs. So you can see where somebody comes in, enters the website, and you can see exactly where they go and navigate through, and then when they exit and drop out of your website. Now, Google use this to analyze the user's experience. If they see that people are coming in and then dropping straight out, or if they see people are kind of winding their way through to try and find this article, then that's going to be detrimental to your SEO score. So for the user experience, you need to make sure that your website is available. Make sure all your pages are really easy to get through. Make sure they're all linked together. Make sure the navigation is really good, that there's nothing there that it's confusing people, they can't get to somewhere. The next one is quality backlinks. This is one of the core principles from the search engine that's probably been in there since day one. And this is getting good links from good quality websites. Now, there's a lot of people out there who they'll tell you, pay us $100 and we'll give you 1,000 links. That's not the sort of links you're looking for. What you're looking for is like established domains, maybe like a government website or maybe like a news website. A backlink from that is going to improve your score better than 1,000 links from some little blogs that nobody really knows about. So quality backlinks are always what you're looking for when you're trying to extend your backlink catalog into your website. Secure HTTPS. This has been a big thing over the last few years. Again, Google have said that they really expect all websites to be HTTPS now, and not just HTTP, and not just e-commerce websites. So if you have a website, if you don't have an SSL certificate, now is the time to get one. Pretty much all hosts offer a free website now. There is an organization called Let's Encrypt, and they provide web hosts with free SSL certificates. So there really is no need to buy one these days. And in fact, if your hosting company tells you that you should buy one, then it's probably a good time to find another hosting company. So if you don't have HTTPS on your website today, try getting it on tomorrow, and that will improve your SEO score overall. And of course, mobile friendly as well. That is a big measurement that comes from Google. And you can look in things like the Google Analytics to see what type of devices are looking at your website. So, for example, desktop or tablet or mobile. Have a look at the number of mobile users and just see what percentage it is overall. But Google in the back end will be measuring all that stuff, especially through their Google Search Console, where you can see all the issues that come up with things like desktop and tablet and mobile. But the crutch for it is make sure that your website is fully operable on mobile and working for those. Social media signals as well is another thing that can push you up the ranks. So if your social media, if you've got a really good social media, if you've got a good audience there, and they're following through from the social media to your website, then that can really help as well, because it tells Google that it's popular, that your website is popular, and that these people are looking for it. So don't leave social media out. Make sure that you're posting your content through social media and then backlinking it back into your website from there. The next one is schema markup. Now, you might not have heard of this, but Google have something called rich content. And basically, it's a type of content that Google can recognize, and they know exactly what it is. So we're talking about things like events, recipes, flight times, reviews, things like that. Courses as well is a schema markup. Now, if you haven't heard about this, it is in all the plugins that I'm going to show you tonight, but it allows you to mark that particular bit of content as this particular schema, this particular rich markup. And Google loves this sort of stuff. And you'll see it all the time. You might not pay attention to it. You might not know what it is. But if you do some Google searches, sometimes it will come up, especially if you're looking for food recipes or things like that. So if you're looking for food, then maybe in the second search result, you'll see a recipe for that particular item that you've put in. That recipe is a rich snippet, and Google has lifted that from somewhere because it understands that this is a recipe bit of data, and then it displays on the Google search engine. So having these rich items, these rich data items, can boost your chances, because not only is Google indexing your website page that's got the recipe, you actually have a second chance of appearing twice on Google search engine, because it's lifting that rich snippet out and displaying it twice. So if you do things like recipes or reviews or courses or events like that, then it's worthwhile looking into the schema markup, and then just having a look exactly, see what other schemas are around, so you can mark up all your data from there. Two quick things just to finish off here is the domain age. So the older your domain is, the more established it is, and the higher up it's going to give the SEO ranking a little bit of extra for those. Certainly very, very young domains, they don't get as good a ranking as ones who have been established in there for a long time. And top level domains, so that's your end bit, your .com, .com.au, that sort of stuff. That does have a little bit of an influence on the ranking, and this is maybe more from backlinks. So if you're trying to extend your backlinks to your website, try going after these really high and established top level domains. We're talking about things like government, education, and military. These websites are established. Google knows them. They index them all the time. If you can get a backlink from one of those established websites, then that is going to give that page a really, really good SEO score for that. So again, these are educated guesses, but it starts to give you an insight into what kind of things to focus on when you're performing SEO on your own website or for your clients' websites. So why is SEO important for your business? I get asked this all the time still. There's still a lot of people out there that don't do SEO, but the crux of it is the higher you rank in the results pages, the more clicks you're going to get, and the more traffic your website is going to be generated towards. And SEO, it also improves the user experience, making it more likely for customers to become repeat buyers and things like that. Also, SEO is pretty cost effective. Basically, if you're working on a tight budget and you're looking at a way to drive traffic to your website, SEO is a fantastic source of that, because essentially you don't really pay for it. Like you don't pay as like a service, you don't pay anything like that. It's basically just your time. You can't obviously pay an expert, if that's what you want to do, but it is really, really cost effective to start out with. It's really just your time, creating content and using your SEO strategy to try and get more traffic for those. Now, there are 3.2 billion Google searches per day, and that's a lot of potential website traffic that's up for grabs. So don't think, if you're starting out at the very beginning, don't think that, it's an unachievable goal. There's niches out there, there's industries out there, there's a lot of searches out there. You can definitely carve a slice of that traffic out for yourself and for your site. So why do I keep talking about Google all the time? Well, simply put, Google has the lion's share of the online search market. In fact, it currently has an over 90% dominance. So what I mean is that every time somebody's searching for something on the web, 90% of the time they're using the Google search engine to find that stuff. And if you flip that stats around, especially if you're just a single person, where you put all your SEO time and effort into any other search engines, you're only really going to reach a maximum of 5% of the total searches. Now, 5% of a few billion is not too bad. But, you know, if you're looking to try and get the most amount of traffic, try and get the biggest part or the slice of the pie, then Google is basically the way to go. So optimizing your website for Google search engine is an absolute must if you're looking to attract most visitors to your content through keywords. Now, I know that some people will say, go after Bing, go after Yahoo, because everyone else is going after Google. But at the end of the day, you know, you can't really compete with 90% search dominance. So Google is still king for there. It's still got the lion's share. So make sure that your websites are fully optimized for the Google search engine, at least first, before you move on to any other ones. Okay, so a quick question here from you guys. Just drop in the chat and just let me know which search engine that you guys use the most. And we'll just see if that 90% stat is correct. We'll see what you guys are using. So Matthias says Google. Only ever Google. DuckDuckGo. Murray. Yep. Google. From Lawrence. Mamadou's got Google. Morris is Google. I'm Google. Cool. So it sounds like, apart from one person who uses DuckDuckGo, it looks like everyone else is using Google. So yeah, I mean, that stat pretty much stands up, right? It's everywhere. It's on your mobile phones. It's on your Android devices. It's pretty much everywhere. So DuckDuckGo gets its data from Google anyway. Probably, yeah. At least they don't store all the information and try and sell it to other people. That's a topic for another day. Thank you, guys. Okay, so there are this thing called 3 core pillars of SEO. And a lot of people mention these all the time, and I'm going to mention it tonight because everyone else does. But there are kind of 3, what you might call main strategies to approach when you're trying to do SEO for your website. So the first one is technical. So that is how your website is structured. It's how usable it is. So structure is the HTML markup. It's not the code, but it's the structure underneath on your page. So for things like, do you use a title? Have you got your meta description correct? Do you use your H1s, H2s, H3s, all the way down to H6 headers correctly? And do they all kind of flow in a logical order? So the technical part is the structure of the website. Other technical things is your images. Do you use the appropriate image sizes for different devices? Now, you don't have to worry too much about that with WordPress because it tries to figure out which is the right image to use anyway, and deliver the proper image to that. So that's a thumbs up if you're using WordPress anyway. But things as well, you know, is the website easy to navigate? And this is where those core web vital metrics come in. And also, are you internally linking to all your other pages? Now, at the beginning, I said, you know, how SEO works is basically the web crawlers, the Google crawlers are looking through your content. If your content's not linked together, then it's not going to be able to find any of that content. So make sure, this is one of the huge parts of technical SEO, is making sure that all your pages are indexable. Now, there's tools out there that will crawl through your website, and it'll tell you if any page are what is called orphaned, which means there's no links to it. The one that I use is Screaming Frog. So that's Screaming Frog. It should work on PC and Mac. It's a standalone app, so it's not a cloud service or anything. So you just buy the one license, stick your website through there, and it just scans through, and you can find all these orphaned pages, and then you can find other content to link to it. So that's a nice little tool to use. So technical, all about the structure, all about the navigation, all about the bits that make up the page. The next one we have is content. Now you guys all know what content is, but then, you know, it's not just, oh, sorry, Coral's got a question. I didn't really understand what you mean by orphan links. Okay, so Coral, when Google is indexing your web page, it reads a web page, and it notes all the links, so all the hyperlinks in your content, and then it'll go and visit those pages, and it does the same. It rinse and repeat for those. If you've written some content, and it might be a landing page, it could be another page, it might be a services page, it might be a contact page, or it could be a blog post. If nothing else in your site is linking to that bit of content, then that content is considered an orphan content, which means there's no links to it. Nothing can find it. Google can't find it. The web crawlers can't find it. And that's pretty bad because it's on your website and it's good content there. If you try and get, if you get Screaming Frog, for example, or some other tool, just like do a Google for how to find orphan content, and it'll come up with other tools for those. That's essentially what orphan content is. It's content that Google can't reach for there. Now, as far as content is wise, we touched on that a little bit, is to make sure that your content is written for humans first. Don't try and spam the search engines. Don't try and stuff all your keywords in there. Yes, put keywords in there, but kind of make it natural flow for that. And so definitely write for a human first. Make sure your content is useful and unique. I'm not really talking about plagiarism here. I'm not really talking about copying and pasting it from someone else, but just in general, for your target audience, for your niche, for your industry, the people you're writing to, is that content useful? Or are you just writing content for the sake of writing content? It should be the first one, by the way. Make sure that you're writing useful content that people are actually going to read, that they're going to get value from that. And you know, if some of your competitors already have articles on that, just make sure you have a little unique spin for that, that just makes your one a little bit different. And that could be things like going into a particular topic in a little bit more depth, maybe including more step-through guides, maybe some detailed images, maybe even do a video that the other content doesn't have. But definitely try and make it as unique as possible and better than those other content. Another things like, you know, are your images relevant as well? There's no use in just dropping strange images in there, you know, and do they all have proper alt tags as well? So for things like content, you can maybe think about using something like a publishing schedule for consistency as well, because Google loves to make sure that our website is always being updated. And it's quite difficult just to keep writing content, you know, and publishing every day. What people tend to do when they're putting an SEO strategy together is jot down a list of titles of content that they think is going to be useful, and then maybe book out a day or a couple of days, write your articles, and then schedule them up over the next couple of weeks or something. You might release a post a week, maybe 2 posts a week for things like that. Just make sure it's regular. Try and stick to the same times. It doesn't matter what time it is. I know there's a lot of people that say post at 2 p.m. on LinkedIn or between 3 and 4. That doesn't really matter. It just matters. What really matters is when you can do it or when you can schedule that stuff for. But try and release content consistently, and then Google can get a sense that your website is growing at a consistent rate and not just static. Next one is links. So we've had technical, all about the structure. We've had content, all about the content. Links as well. So how many quality and relevant backlinks do you have to all of your pages? And a lot of people call this strategy link building, because you're trying to build links from other people. And there's different ways of approaching this. You can do your forum skips, although a lot of forums have the no follow, which means, you know, it doesn't count any points towards SEO. But generally, when you're doing a link building, you're looking for these good opportunities to try and get links from high quality websites back to those. So that's the backlink. And then, as I said, internal linking as well. It's always good to regularly, and by regularly, I'm talking maybe like once a quarter or something, just to check your website and all these new articles that have been pushed out to make sure that you're linking properly. Of course, you don't want any of those orphan articles, but maybe some of the content you've created over the last month, maybe there's other articles that you can link those to for those. So always look at opportunities to relink out to older articles, and from the older articles to relink back into new content as well. And that's going to create a really good structure, a really good mesh that Google's going to be able to see. Now, that's just a basic overview of these 3 core pillars of SEO. There's so much more depth in each of those ones, but this is just a kind of basic overview for those. Now, like marketing, SEO is a long haul process. It's not a quick win, even if some people may say so, it's really not. So you need to set your expectations accordingly. So it depends on how much effort you're going to put in. Like everything else. Now, you're likely going to start seeing some results if you're maybe around about the 6-month mark, if you're just starting out. So that's doing regular SEO stuff. That's making sure you're posting maybe like once a week. You're making sure that you've got your titles, you've got good keywords. You're looking for opportunities for backlinks. You've got your internal linking, all those. If you're kind of doing that, if you're chugging along like that, then results probably around about the 6-month mark, you're going to start to see your new content start to come up in the search engine. Now, of course, if you want quicker results, then you're going to have to do more SEO. You're going to have to really look at the content strategy. You're going to really have to do link building. And that's where maybe you might want to get somebody else involved, like get an SEO expert so that they can do that thing. And then it leaves you more time to run your business. It's really up to you. But in general, when people are doing it by themselves, around about the 6-month mark is when they start to see the SEO efforts come into play. Now, these results, they include but are not limited to things like increased traffic directly to your website, better social media engagement, longer average time on site, lower bounce rates, and higher in the rankings as well. So those are some of the key metrics that you'd probably be looking at and trying to measure to try and evaluate your SEO efforts. Okay, so what does SEO look like in practice? It's okay me waffling on about all these things, but what do you actually need to do? So the first one here is keyword research. So keyword research is essentially finding the correct keywords that people are typing into the search engine to find the content similar to yours or for yours. And these are the keywords that you want your website to be ranking for. Amazing content. So your content, if you're trying to compete with other people in your industry, your content needs to be better, needs to be better in quality, it needs to be better in value than your competing stuff. So if you're in a brand new niche, then that's you're sorted. Anything you write is going to be fantastic. But in most people's circumstances, you're competing against other things, you know. And just bear in mind, if you're moving from a bricks and mortar company to an online company and doing SEO and stuff for that, your competitors might not be the same as your physical competitors. So for example, if you're moving to the online world, you know, if you're like a travel agent or something, then you're suddenly competing with all these big travel sites. If you're trying to create some information within your particular niche on different things, and you might be a direct competitor with Wiki, and things like that. So there's different kind of online services that might be your main competitor that you might not think of like your actual competitors, your physical competitors are there. So you definitely had to have amazing content. Have a look at all your competitors. Why are they getting to the top? And then try and figure out what you can do to add more quality to boost your content for that. The next one is external links, so backlinks. We talked about that. So sites that link back to your website give your site authority, and it's probably one of the biggest ranking factors. It's certainly one of the oldest in the Google search algorithm. And it's not just the number of backlinks, remember that, it's the quality and relevance as well of those links that really, really matters. Then we talked about internal linking for that. So obviously it's important for Google to find your stuff. So you should be paying attention and making sure all your web pages are linked together in a relevant way. Content marketing. So generating the correct type of content on the right platforms for your right niche so that you can bring traffic back to your site and you start getting noticed by Google. So content marketing is all about that. It's making sure you got the right content, relevant content to the right people so that they can actually start to see you as an authority in that particular area. And then we've talked a little bit about measuring results. So you need to have key metrics. If you're going to be doing SEO, don't just do it for the sake of it. Make sure that you've got some metrics that you can measure back. Otherwise, you don't know exactly what you did well if your ranking suddenly go up, but you certainly don't know what you did badly. So definitely have those key metrics. Keep an eye on bounce rate, keep an eye on average time on site and traffic numbers when you're starting off in SEO, just so you can measure those back. Okay, I think this is the last one in SEO. So some people get a bit stuck of what type of content to create for this content marketing part of SEO. And so here are a few popular types of content that are pretty easy and get some great SEO results if done well. So of course, the first one is blog posts. There's a billion blog posts made every day. But, if you're making quality blog posts, you can certainly help your SEO with that. And once your niche it gets established, once your industry understands who you are, and once your authority starts going up, then people will come back and read your blog posts if they are good quality. Infographics. Now, infographics work really well as long as you've got embedded links. So what infographics are is you maybe create a topic. Just think about one like rapid antigen tests, how to do a rapid antigen test, things like where to get them, how to buy them, what they should cost, the step guide for doing them. Something like that as like an A4 or a longer graphic works really well because people love these infographics. They love to share them, love to do all that. But if you are doing infographics, make sure you give them an embed link so it's coming directly from your website because you want that link that people are sharing. Videos. Now, videos are pretty key at the moment. Videos are the big thing to do. So if you are looking to boost your SEO, definitely get into videos. And if you are putting videos within your website, make sure that you have the video transcriptions as well. Because yes, Google's pretty good at doing stuff, but might not be able to index that particular video. So if you're embedding videos, make sure you have the transcripts. And there's loads of services out there that will transcribe your videos for you, or you can jump on fiverr.com as well, and somebody will transcribe those for you really easily. Now, checklists. People love checklists. So if like a checklist on how to open your WooCommerce website, or how to the steps that you need to take to connect WooCommerce to your Stripe gateway, and you've just got that check 1, check 2, check 2, check 3, things like that. People love checklists, and it's a really popular. It's one of my top SEO parts that one of my SEO strategies, one of my top strategies for that. So see if you can create some checklists for your niche. Podcasts, similar to videos, podcasts are kind of going through a bit of a renaissance at the moment. Over the last 2 or 3 years, they've kind of exploded. You've got all these kind of big media apps that are recent apps, and they've got podcasts embedded in them. So similarly, if you're doing podcasts on your website, make sure you include that transcription so you get all that lovely SEO keywords and all that content from them as well. Next one is how-tos. So kind of similar to checklists, but probably a little bit more in depth. It is your how-to guides. Now, if you've got a niche, if you've got an industry that you're talking to your target audience, these you're probably going to find all the issues that they have. So you can just jot down 10, 15, 100 issues, and then just make a how-to about it. Go in depth. Maybe create a video about it, but have steps, have graphics, have detail, click here, and all that sort of thing. People love these how-tos. It's one of the biggest search intents on YouTube is how do I do this? Trending topics. Now this works really well, but it does depend on your industry and your niche for that. Trending topics, there's a couple of Google websites like Google Trending that basically collate what's happening just now on social media as well. It's quite useful to try and boost short-lived links or traction to short-lived content, which can help boost your SEO. It's probably not a long-term thing, but certainly for like a short term, if you can try and get some traffic kind of jump on that bandwidth for the moment, that can certainly help kind of boost your kind of engagement over a particular period. And then lastly, step guides. Now, step guides is kind of similar to checklists and how-tos, but they're more specific. So it's step 1, do this, step 2, do that, step 3, do this. And by the end of the steps, you've got this happening. So step guides are really popular as well, and they are a great guide. Morris is saying I've got 30 minutes left. Thanks, Morris. And that's it. So that's my basic SEO strategy. I've kind of included a lot there, but there's a lot more depth I could go into, but it's such a huge topic that I just wanted to try and touch on the overall concepts for those. So you can maybe think to yourself, what you're doing, what your SEO content strategy is at the moment. Maybe you're missing a few of these things that you might want to concentrate on. If you do want us to go into a little bit more about SEO, look, I'm happy to dive into some of those topics and maybe another meetup, another event. So if that is something that is of interest, then let's know on our Facebook group or via the events, and we can maybe queue up a more detailed, particular deep dive into one of those SEO aspects. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go through these 3 plugins. I'm going to show you how they integrate with Elementor, where to go for all the settings for those. It won't take long, which is why I kind of did the SEO bit at the front. Okay, so I'm going to stop my screen share, and I'm going to switch my screen. Nope, not that one. And reshare. There we go. Okay, so this is a little demo website that I have. Sorry if I'm looking off screen, but it's on the other screen at the moment. So what we have here, I've got a little demo. So what I've got installed here, I've got Elementor installed. In fact, I've got Elementor Pro installed for here. And I've got these 3 plugins. So the 3 plugins that I'm going to show you tonight is Yoast SEO, which is the most popular one on the WordPress org. It's the most popular SEO one. Maybe not perhaps the most useful, but certainly the most popular. The next one is SEOPress, which is the one that I use personally. And then there's another one called RankMath, which I've not used personally, but a lot of people are saying it's like spot on. So we'll have a look at these ones there. So I've got Elementor switched on here, and let's do Yoast first of all. So activate that. And let's go into one of the pages. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is that a lot of people nowadays live in the page builders. And obviously, if you've got Elementor installed, then you're going to be designing lovely pages in there. But I know that some people actually do blog posts using Elementor. In fact, they just live in the Elementor window. So sometimes, people can forget that the SEO settings are actually, in the WordPress edit page. And so let's have a look at one of these. Let's just see if I can get one. Maybe I can just create a new page. I'll create one. Add a page. I'll do test, simple, easy, and then there. Okay, so I'm going to publish that, and that's just a normal WordPress page. And we can see here, because we've got Yoast enabled, it's down here in the WordPress editor. You've got your Yoast, all your stuff down here, as normal, as you'd expect. But again, some people, as I say, live in the page builders. So let's have a quick look and see where Yoast is in here. So when you open the page, from here in Elementor, straight away, it isn't very clear where you go for SEO. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of people just tend to ignore it. So it's always good to know where to go. So for Yoast, if you're going to be using Yoast, the free one or the pro one, then the SEO options are actually up here. So that's a little hamburger element up here. Click on up here in the top left-hand corner and then down to the Yoast SEO. And it's going to open up the meta boxes that you'd normally see on the WordPress editor there. And again, you've got all these access to everything here. So you've got your results for there. It's saying not enough content. Really? I thought I was pretty good there with hi there. So you've got your analysis there as well. So it's telling you there's no outbound links, all your images are rubbish because they've not got any, and metadata. So again, the Yoast SEO, it's very checklist orientated. You don't have this, you should do that. But again, that's analyzing this particular Elementor page as it is. And we can add relevant key phrases as well and track SEO performance. We've got all the stuff down there. And they've got the schema down as well. So I probably don't have any of these enabled in the Yoast settings, but it's here for anyway. So there's some different types of schemas: web page, item page, an FAQ page, a medical web page, for example, a real estate listing. So it does get into quite specifics, and the article type as well. And if you set those up correctly, Yoast will wrap that particular schema around so that Google has a better chance of picking that out and knowing exactly what data that is. cornerstone content, so you can mark this article as a cornerstone content. What that is that is your big, long, meaty article that you then break out into smaller articles and you link to them from the cornerstone article from those. But again, we've got your Google preview, and Yoast opens up a separate window so you can see exactly what it's going to look like in Google, and they have like Facebook preview and stuff as well. So that's where to go for Yoast. And a lot of people, you might forget it because it's not on the main Elementor website, but certainly if you are using Yoast in Elementor, when you're doing your landing pages, please don't write your blog post in Elementor. But if you're doing your landing pages, make sure that you just before you publish it, that you're going to the Yoast SEO and just make sure that you're getting all greens or oranges across the board. So that's where to go for the Yoast one. Let's just go back to the dashboard. Come on, back to the dashboard. There we go. Yes, I'm going to leave the page. The next one we'll do is RankMath. So I'll get rid of Yoast because having multiple SEO plugins is not very good. And we'll go to RankMath, which is here, activate that. And we'll go back to the page, open that up, which was, I thought I published that. Not there. Okay, I'll add a new one. Little test, and hi there. Publish, publish. Okay, let's edit that one to Elementor. And straight away, which is pretty good, and this is what we really want to see. We've now got an SEO tab up there in the Elementor window. And that's kind of key. And that's what I like about RankMath and SEOPress is to have it up here. So it's not in there anymore. It's not hidden out of the way. It's actually quite visible. So we click on the SEO and again, straight away, it's starting to analyze the page here. You've got your focus keyword here. So I could put test in there. And it's going to focus all that there. And now we can see, hurrah, you're using focus keyword in SEO title. Yes. Again, it's very similar to Yoast. It's probably a little bit more intuitive. Not as many things as Yoast put in, but it's covering the basics. So it's telling you here that your focus keyword isn't in here. So you basically go down, have a look at that. All your focus stuff. It's got your preview at the top as well. You've got additional stuff as well. So like H1s, H2s, it's telling you about. It's talking about images as well that you add. Where's your internal links? And I like this. It's good because it's got like green ticks and red crosses, so you know exactly where you are and what you're doing. Don't try and get all green ticks across the full spectrum. You're never going to get green ticks unless you're kind of keyword stuffing, which is not good. So to have that balance between writing naturally and getting as many things checked as possible. And then this one's got a specific on the title. So it's looking at the focus of the title, but then it's saying it doesn't contain positive or negative sentiment. So it's not including any psychology there as well. It's not got any power words, and it's got links to power words as well that you can put into your title. And then the content readability. So this is the analysis part as well for those. So it's kind of telling you, kind of guiding you on what style to write your post in. So very simple there, and it's all crammed into the side. So there's no pop-up windows that come up with RankMath, which is quite nice. You've got some advanced stuff, advanced indexing. You've got your schemas here as well. So you can choose the different schemas. That's in the pro version. And then you've got your previews there if you want like the full scale, see what exactly it looks like on mobile and desktop for those. So I'll quickly just do SEOPress. I know we're kind of running out of time a little bit. Okay, I'll just update that. And then go to plugins. And of course, you've got it here from the dashboard anyway, but we're looking at Elementor tonight. Deactivate that. And I'll activate SEOPress. Now, I like SEOPress basically because the pro version comes with all the stuff that you get in the Yoast, but with Yoast, you have to buy all these extra add-ons like Google Local, and then for WooCommerce, and then for all these other things, whereas it's kind of all included in the price of SEOPress Pro for those. So let's go back to pages. Where is it hiding all those stuff? Recall, I knew it was somewhere. So let's look at that one. We'll do it in Elementor. Okay, now again, Yoast, SEOPress has the SEO tab up here, which is nice because I think it's good because it's prevalent. You can actually see exactly where it is. It's a reminder when you're doing your content in Elementor. What I do like about SEOPress is it extends this straight out of the way. So now it's not all squashed in the corner. But again, you've got your general settings. So you've got your title and stuff, but then you've got your SEO title and description that's giving you hints as to how long it should be for that, and a little mobile preview down there. But you got your more advanced stuff down here. So, don't display this in the results, index pages for your images as well. Things like caching as well. Don't display a cached link for this. And you can set your canonical URLs to, so if you've got like similar content, or maybe you've got multiple languages, you can make sure you've got like one unique URL for those. Then you've got all your social stuff for here, and you can set separate images for all the social networks, or Facebook, or for Twitter, for those, so to make sure it displays properly. You can put redirection on as well. And of course, SEOPress has a content analysis, just like any other one. So if I type in easy for that one there, and then refresh analysis, then some of these will, well, I thought they're probably not going to turn green because, let's face it, the content's pretty pants. But it'll reanalyze all your content for that, similar to RankMath, and probably more similar to Yoast SEO. And it's basically got a checklist here of things that you probably should try and cover before you go and launch that. So I like SEOPress. I think it's simple, but it gets the job done for me. I've been using it for a couple of years now, and I love that it's all integrated into Elementor right on the side here as well. So there we go. I'll stop sharing there. Back to this. So that was my little overview, just of SEO. Maybe it wasn't so little, maybe it was a little more detailed than I thought. But just the top three SEO plugins: Yoast SEO, we've got SEOPress and Rank Math, and they all do integrate really, really nicely with Elementor. And it's always wise to go and check everything before you publish it, just to make sure you're hitting most of those green check marks. Okay, guys, it is 7:05. I've ran over a little bit. Sorry about that. But if you've got any questions, then I'm happy to take those questions just now. I'll see if I can get the chat box up. Okay.
We have Coral, I think, who has a question.
Yeah, Coral. How do you keyword research? Is that the question? How do you keyword research? Okay. Yeah, so there's a few tools that can help you with keyword research. Probably the best one to get started with is there's a guy called Neil Patel. He's quite big in the SEO world, and he's got a tool called Suggest. So what the best way to approach keyword analysis, keyword research, is to figure out your niche, figure out your target audience, and what sort of keywords are they looking for, what sort of content, and what sort of problems are they. The name of the tool, please. Okay, it's Neil Patel's. He's got a website called neilpatel.com, I think. It's called Suggest. There we go. So find out some of those keywords from your niche, from your industry, pop those down. But it's probably best to do some competitor analysis. And this is where this tool is really well. So you can put in your own website, and it'll tell you similar websites to yours. So you can maybe get an idea as to what other websites there are there. Or you can try and figure out your competition from there as well. And then find the ones that are coming up, and then put them back into Suggest. And you can analyze them. You can analyze their top content, where their traffic's coming from, what keywords they rank for the highest. And then that maybe gives you a little bit of focus on what keywords that you can use in your particular website. So it could be your own one, or it could be your client's one as well. There's another couple of tools One is called Ahref, that one there, and there's another one called SEM Rush. Now, they are both paid tools, and in fact, Ubersuggest is a paid tool as well, but it's got like some free content, so you can get started on that today, which is good. Whereas the Ahref and SEM Rush, they're paid tools, but they are pretty good at doing this, and they do like the full analysis. So if you put in a competitor, or if you put in your website, it'll show you all the websites that are similar. And again, you get those websites, those links, and put them in again, and it will give you a comprehensive breakdown as to all their content. So what's ranking the highest, where they're getting their traffic from, all the keywords that's in there. It'll analyze their page structure to tell you where people pause over the most. So yeah, it's a really detailed stuff. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of an idea as to where to start with keyword research. I got a nodding of the heads. Anyone else? Lauren says, have you ever used WordLift? It's a plugin that analyzes content and generates a schema automatically based on what it's found. I haven't. I've not used that. I've not even heard about that. So that is something that I will look into. WordLift. Okay. So is that like an AI type thing, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. I was looking at one of our competitors that kind of dominates, and just noticed that they use it. So I did a little bit of research. And I think what it does is it kind of reads content, makes sense of it, finds references externally, cross-references stuff on Wikipedia and things like that, and then it generates the schema for that piece. And also I think it enriches the copy as well, like getting bits and pieces inside. So I'm just quite curious about that. I think sort of that's the next level schema thing. I think the first level is hard enough to understand.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering about that.
Oh, thanks for that. I'll definitely have a look at that. But you're probably going to want to tune into next month's topic, which is going to be, we've got a slide for that, so we'll show you at the end. Matthias says, when you do SEO, and I guess this is per page, do you charge for it or train the client to handle that as they update their content? A bit of both. So when I deliver a client website, I've got little guides that I hand out to them. One of them is definitely a kind of guide to SEO. It doesn't cover it in depth. It probably like touches on some of the concepts that I've talked about tonight, but it gives them enough focus that if they want to do it themselves, they kind of roughly know what's in it. But definitely, if you're going to be doing SEO for a client, then yeah, it's definitely obviously paid work for that. I'm not quite sure if you mean per page, as in you charge per page. You basically charge per hour or per goal that they want to do for that. So you'd have like campaigns that you set up that the client wants to generate more inbound traffic to a particular landing page, or they want to build their email list for that, or they want to have more inbound stuff from social media. So you'd set up a campaign for that, and maybe set up the first quarter for payment, and then you'd measure the results over the first quarter. So it'd be more of a retainer type thing that they pay, maybe like on monthly, or maybe every 3 months, or maybe every 6 months that you do that. So hopefully that's answered your question there. And Julia's listed all the tools and stuff. Thank you very much. I mean per page as in optimizing just for the page. Yes. So your whole goal is to make your website as attractive as possible, but people are basically visiting different pages. So yeah, you're basically optimizing your content on a per page basis for SEO, making that the best content that it can be. And we talked a little bit about competitor analysis when I talk about Corral there, but you want to be looking at your competitors, like using these tools like Ubersuggest, and find out what are their top articles, what's attracting people to their website. And then, if they're in the similar industry, then you want to take that topic, not the article, don't copy the article, but take that topic as to what people are searching for and write your own better content. So you might want to do that with 2 or 3 of your top competitors. Find out, exactly what their top pages are, have a read through them, see how you can make that better. And then that's part of the SEO process, is to try and get your page higher above the competition. And it's not just keywords, it's backlinks as well. So they may have a link to, maybe they're being linked from maybe say like CNN.com. So once you've got your article that's better than all the others, then you want to reach out to CNN.com to say, look, you know, that article that you've linked to this particular thing, actually, I've got a better article. You know, it goes more into depth in this area and that area. You know, would you think about replacing that article or mention the article in the same one? So that's backlink generation for that. And it certainly is a big thing about SEO. But yes, definitely on a per page basis. Corral says, do you usually use all three tools that you showed on one website or just one of them? Just one of them, because they've all got overlaps. They've all got analysts. So yeah, definitely pick one and go with it. Yoast is the most popular by downloads, but RankMath, I would think is probably a good one to start out with, because its layout is really simple. It's really focused purely on the SEO. You'll tend to find that Yoast kind of branches out into a lot of stuff because it's been around for a long time. So I'm hearing a lot of good feedback on RankMath for that, and it's free.
I have a question, Will.
Yeah, go for it, John.
So one of my clients has a website that's been running for about 10 years now. And everything that happened on every post that they put up, so it's an editorial site, has all been done wrong from a technical point of view. All the technical things you were telling us about there in terms of use of H1, H2, headlines, image size, and all of that. So they have 10 years of posts that have been up, you know, and the ones from for the first 9 years all need fixing. Is it worth paying someone to go in and fixing all these old posts, or is that a waste of time and a waste of money because they're all old posts?
That's a great question. And it really depends on the amount of traffic they're getting. As a long-term strategy, you want to be looking at your old posts and seeing if you can make them more relevant and kind of bring that traffic up. Maybe you can update something and then relink it back to another post. But in general, if you've got issues with old posts, then you want to be analyzing the traffic. You know, you don't want to be updating an old post if it's got zero traffic for like 10 years. Now, that's just not worth it. It's not worth it at all. And in fact, the old posts that are getting absolutely zero traffic, it's probably a good idea just to remove them. Because sometimes if you've got like more old content that's not getting linked to than new content that's getting linked to, then Google can kind of see that as a bad thing, because that's not relevant information, as people are not looking for it. So that could actually be detrimental for your SEO score. So it's always good to look through your old articles just to make sure, you know, to cull the ones that aren't performing, or if you can, rewrite them in such a way where they're more attractive to your audience or your niche for that. But yeah, definitely I'd be, if their website is in such a bad state, run it through Google Analytics, run it through Ubersuggest, find out what the top pages are, the top bad pages, you know, and concentrate on those ones first. So the ones that people are already looking at, yes, they might not be good technically for SEO. They might have like bad H1, but people are still looking at them. And that's the best place to start and focus. So if you can maybe pull out 50 or 100 of those and focus on those, that's your quick hit. And then, you know, make sure that your SEO strategy going forward when you're creating new stuff is you're actually creating good quality, optimized SEO content. But yeah, definitely find the top performing pages and kind of redo them first. It's like pool. I had a friend when we were at university. Used to be a couple of pool tables at the student tavern, as we used to call it. And one of my friends, he would always go for like the more technical shots. So if there was like a ball that you could hit and bounce it off the corner and go into a pocket, he would go for that one. My strategy was I'd go for the one that I could fit in first. Okay. So if I just like bang, bang, bang. So I'd have like 6 balls down and he'd still be trying to get this one in it. So he was approaching it with the wrong strategy for that. And I think as a lot of people will with SEO kind of blindly try and do SEO without trying to apply some such strategy first.
Excellent. Thanks very much for that.
Okay, I'll take another couple of questions. I don't want to go on too late because it's already 7:15. Lauren says, can you tell us of a very piece of content that you've published that performed great on Google, but also did a good job converting for those? Yes. Actually, one of my most one of my most popular posts in Google is actually the contact 7 form. So I wrote this contact form 7 is like a free form system that's existed with WordPress for loads of times. And there's a particular error that was happening with that. So I wrote this great big article about what contact form 7 was, how to fix the error, how to actually optimize the form as well, why you should optimize forms, and how you can link it to your CRM system like MailChimp or whatever. And that's probably one of my biggest performing pages there. Certainly because, and it's a winner because contact form 7 is free. A lot of people don't want to pay money for contact forms, but it also interests people with the concept of linking things together. So a lot of people just have a form and they don't link it together with their mail system or their CRM. So that kind of brings people into thinking, oh, actually, CRM. And then I linked that one to my different articles about integration. So, now they've got that little bit of concept of you can pass information. Here, read this article about, how you can automate WordPress together. And then it's got articles that's linking into Zapier. It's got Integromat. And from there, people start to get in contact with me because they see that I can now integrate WordPress those. So that's probably my top performing blog post. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an example there. And Mamadou says, what frequency of content did you recommend for beginners? Really, it's kind of what you can spare, what time you can spare. I mean, if you start off with one a week, start off with one a month, if that's all you can do, but commit to that, so find a day each month, commit to it, commit to publishing a post at the same time every day, and that will help. And when you get used to that, process of creating content, and you will get faster finding ideas, of putting together outlines and fleshing out content, it will get faster over time. Then maybe you can increase to twice a month. But the key concept is to be consistent for that. You don't want to bash out 20 articles in a week and then go radio silence for like 6 months. Google will notice that, and that's where you start to get penalized. So consistency, start with what you can do, and then try and ramp up to what you can manage. I try and do one a week. For that, that's enough for me because I'm involved in quite a lot of stuff for that. So I try and do once a week to be as regular for that. Yeah, great question. Okay, I think that's probably enough for tonight. It's probably enough of me talking. There's certainly a lot of stuff in there and some great questions. Thank you very much for your questions, guys. John, do you want to run through the last few slides or the last slide?
Yep. Just let me pull this one back up. Sorry.
There's one or two more.
Right. Oh, hang on, where's it gone? It just says loading. Bear with me 1 second. Oh yeah, so this is just I'll just share this one. You guys can see that? Okay. Yeah, so thanks very much for all of that. Well, that was excellent. And I personally learned quite a lot from that. These are all my notes, which I'm sending to my client tomorrow. Basically, that was really good. Very, very useful. And next month, we will be back here again it's always the first Thursday of every month. Remember that? So April the 7th at 6 p.m. Local Sydney time. And next month, it will be how to create an awesome AI-powered website easily. So we're looking at AI for copywriting, which again is something that I definitely need a lot of advice on. So hopefully you guys will as well. So yeah, we'll hopefully see you there.
Okay, guys, before you go, if you're new to Zoom, you can actually save the chat window. So if you're on the desktop client, in the chat window, if you look down to where you type in meshes, there's kind of 3 horizontal dots. If you click on that, you can save the chat to your local PC. So you've got all those links and things. But we will post all the links on the event page anyway, just so you've got those. Other than that, thank you very much, guys. Hope to see you next month. And if you've got any questions, you can send them into the Elementor events webpage. But thank you very much, Lawrence. Thank you, Matthias. Thank you, Mamadou. Thank you, Murray. Thank you, Coral, as well. Been fantastic having you online.
Thank you.
Guys, thanks, Will.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night,
Thanks,
everyone.
guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye.
very much. Bye.